Good morning to you, Supervisor.
Lauren, good morning.
Okay, so we talked to you yesterday about the proposal that you were going to bring before the board to really kind of ignore the state recommendations and have businesses open up with safety precautions. And it was a motion that was expected to be seconded by Kristen Gaspar, who's also been a big proponent for keeping businesses open. And that didn't happen. Were you surprised by yesterday's vote?
Well, I was a little disappointed, but we've all got our differences of opinion, and so I'm not pointing any blame on anybody. And things happen very slowly at government. You have to present an idea, and it has to grow on people. But basically, what I was proposing, and you said it, is I want businesses to open up safely. And the motion was essentially, if a business chooses to open, that we regulate and we enforce that they are abiding by all the safety requirements, the social distancing, the masks, and all those things. And we don't enforce the closures. Let the state enforce the closures. We no longer want to, be in that game of shutting them down. We want to be making sure if you're open that you're doing it safely. And primarily because of this new color-coded system is so flawed from the state about business. It's basically keeping businesses closed. And as I've said many times, you can't even get to the easiest tier of yellow, which only allows 50% of capacity of businesses to open, because you can have no more than one positive test per 100,000 people. And even if you had a vaccine, you could not achieve that level. So we're stuck being closed indefinitely. Some businesses like hotels and their meeting rooms, wedding venues, street fairs, boating, the travel industry have no chance of opening at all. And that was what I was trying to do. Get out of the business of enforcing the state rules. Let them do it. We're just going to make sure that everyone's operating safely.
Now, in fairness, Supervisor Gaspar said that she wanted to put a motion to reserve a vote until next week to sort of see what happens with our numbers. And one could say that perhaps she was thinking, well, let's not upset the governor in Sacramento right now when we're still in a safe zone. Let's wait to see what happens next week and then take up the issue then. Do you subscribe to that way of thinking?
Well, it was a okay alternative, and I seconded that motion, and that's fine. But businesses are this yo-yo effect back and forth is really devastating to them. And how long can they hold out? And the whole reason that we are moving towards purple right now is not because of businesses. It's because of the now up to 700 cases of an outbreak at San Diego State by students. Why should a business in Oceanside and San Marcos or even Chula Vista, why should they be punished? Why should all hair salons go back outdoors for an outbreak at a university where we can contain those students? And out of that 700, only one went to the hospital and has already been released. So to always blame, these spikes and everything on businesses, I think is unfair. There's been other factors, like the students factor, even the demonstrations that nobody wants to mention. Those played a factor in the spikes of the numbers. So there's many factors involved. We can't just always blame business.
Right, and we've discussed that this morning, that really it's SDSU's numbers that are pushing us toward that purple tier. And there has been discussion, we're being told, that county health leaders are looking at asking for SDSU's numbers to be excluded from the county's numbers to keep us in the same tier and not move to that more restrictive purple tier. Are you part of those discussions? Do you know of those discussions going on? Do you think that there is any chance of that actually happening?
I'm aware of those discussions. Unfortunately, I'm not on the task force, and so our CAO, our Chief Administrative Officer, Helen Robbins-Meyer, she is in on that. There's a panel of people throughout the state. I think that are discussing this with the state and with the governor to hopefully get those excluded, because there are other entities that are excluded, prisons for one, and even senior facilities are excluded in some of the numbers. So I think this is a good case for exclusion, but we didn't have it yesterday. Our meetings are usually 2 weeks apart. I'm glad that Supervisor Gaspar brought that up to have a meeting next week, to rehash this again. But businesses, they're frustrated. They can't hang on. Even the ones, restaurants that are open at 25%, nobody has a business plan for success at 25%, capacity. So, you know, and we still have like 200,000 people out there that are unemployed in San Diego County. We can have both. We can fight the virus. We can have our businesses open. We're still in the single digits of people being hospitalized as far as, you know, percentages. We're at 7% of the people in the hospitals are there for COVID, and less than half of them are in the ICUs.
Nathan Fletcher yesterday was talking about your proposal being catastrophic for the region, and only way to demonstrate how bad it would be to let it happen, because of course there is this fear that we would see a bunch of rising cases, more hospitalizations. What's your response to that?
Well, I think it's also catastrophic that our economy and many businesses and people's life savings are also being ruined, you know, throughout this pandemic. And I think in some cases unnecessarily. There can be a happy medium here, you know, so that businesses and fighting the virus happens at the same time. There is going to be spikes regardless, whatever we do, but we can't just stay under the covers all the time. We got to come out, we got to venture, we've got to push the envelope a little bit, and then there's going to be spikes. And we can handle the capacities. We had 700 students test positive at San Diego State, and only one of them went to the hospital and has already been released. Our hospital capacities are at 7% COVID patients. The rest are regular patients in the hospital. So we have the capacities to handle the, you know, any spikes or cases that come by. We have that capacity right now. And so we keep being told hide, fear, fear, fear. We can do both. We can do them both safely. And one thing I want to reiterate is that even though, you know, I'm advocating for all businesses to open, and we just don't enforce the state's closing efforts. They enforce the closing efforts, not us. We enforce the fact that if your business is going to be open, we make sure you're doing and abiding by all the health and safety guidelines for the safety of your customers and your employees.